Agree. And our last speaker of the day is Ryan Calo, who's maybe the only person here I have not met before, but I've been admiring some of the stuff he's posting on Twitter. He's one of the first people I noticed as a legal scholar to really dive deep into AI. He's a professor of law at UW. We have a lot of representation from UW today at University of Washington. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so this is a very knowledgeable and sober-eyed group. But if you listen closely to many proponents of artificial intelligence, you begin to hear a kind of a paradox. And it's that AI is going to change everything, but nothing should change. That is, AI is going to fundamentally remake society, healthcare, finance, education, but there should be next to no change to law or legal institutions. In fact, such a change might be ruinous. So how do we explain this? Well, as these same proponents point out, AI is not a single thing. It's not an artifact like a train or a railway station. Rather, AI is a set of techniques aimed at approximating some aspect of human or animal cognition using machines. You can't regulate AI as such. So instead, the thought runs, what we need to navigate this sea change is a common understanding of values. In other words, we need principles. Well, I think we have someone else unmuted. It's commonly said that we'll get AV right before AI. So the thought is that we need principles, and you just heard Francesca talk about principles. Indeed, principles abound. Everybody has them. Governments, industry especially, NGOs, but also religious organizations, grassroots organizations, principles are everywhere. So I have a few problems with principles. First, to the extent that they draw their force from ethics, ethics is famously contestable. Both Bentham and Kant, though they had dramatically different moral systems, get to say should. Second, principles are not self-enforcing. No tangible penalties attached to violating them. You violate the law and you lose money, property, maybe your freedom. You violate an ethical principle and you get criticized on Twitter. But fundamentally, my view is that principles are largely meaningless because in practice, they are designed to make claims that no one seriously disputes. Does anyone think that AI should be unsafe or inequitable? And if so, are principles going to change their mind? So I don't think we need principles to resolve the paradox that I'm describing. I think what we need to do at this point is roll up our sleeves and assess precisely how AI changes human affordances, what people can do and how they can do it, and then adjust our system of laws to this change. Merely because AI can't be regulated as such doesn't mean that we cannot or should not change many aspects of the law in response to it. And I have a lot of specific ideas like along those lines. That's what I research. I research precisely what about law and legal institutions ought to be changing. Now, there is, of course, another alternative. We could just stop taking claims of AI revolution seriously. That is to say, we could say that AI is not such a big deal, in which case, of course, human law can afford to safely ignore it. But if we're serious about AI changing everything, or even a lot, then I don't think it's just a matter of principles. I think it's time to get work on rules, and otherwise that people won't ultimately trust AI enough to realize its benefits. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ryan.